Hi, I'm Bill. I'm the salty old Marine. Let's take a step back. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Let's say you're a veteran and you're just getting started dealing with VA disability. So you're interested in filing a VA disability claim, but you don't know how to go about doing it. Okay, no problem. We all started somewhere, and honestly, I didn't start that long ago myself. So let's talk about it. First of all, you have to understand the VA offers disability based upon a couple of things. First, you have to have received the injury, whatever that is, while you were on active duty in the military. So, for example, if you developed tinnitus, the constant ringing in the ears, and you either developed it in the military or was significantly aggravated by your time in the military. Maybe you were an artillery person, always around those loud cannon and artillery pieces, and now you can't hardly hear a damn thing. So that's a disability, right? Okay. How do you get a VA disability for it? Well, the first thing you have to do is show the VA how it happened. So if you've got a service treatment record that shows that you were treated for tinnitus or hearing loss or something like that, you're going to need to get a copy of your service treatment record and highlight that and make that a part of your claim. Now, the VA can and will pull your service treatment record themselves, but it's always going to be better if you do it yourself. We'll talk more about how you do that in another video, but for this video, let's just say you're going to need to get your documentation of your in-service event. If you can't find it, if it doesn't exist because you didn't go to sick bay or sick call, you find it with other ways. Like, for example, buddy statements from people who were there with you at that time who will testify on a piece of paper that, yeah, it happened, blah, blah, blah. Again, we'll talk more about that in other videos. But still, what we're talking about is showing that it happened while you were in the military. Great. The second part of a VA disability claim is you have to have a current diagnosis. So what that means is you take yourself off to a medical specialist, a doctor, an audiologist, a psychologist, whatever kind of specialist that you need to diagnose what it is you're claiming. So in other words, if you're claiming tinnitus, you might want to see an audiologist. And the audiologist then would say, we're going to give you some tests, we're going to ask you some questions, and you're going to get a diagnosis of tinnitus. Okay, so now you have an in-service event, you have a current diagnosis. There's only one more thing missing from a VA disability claim, and that's something they call a nexus. A nexus is basically the connection between the two. It's the VA agreeing that the tinnitus you have today was in fact the same as the tinnitus you had while you were in the military, or the hearing loss, or the migraines, or the PTSD, or whatever it is you're claiming, right? So there has to be the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the connection, the nexus between the two. If you have those things, if you have those things, you can become service connected. That is to say, the VA will agree that your current diagnosis is in fact caused by what happened to you in the military, either on a primary or a secondary type condition. Great. Now you've crossed the hardest part of the claim journey. The next thing that happens is the VA has to decide how much money do you get. And that's what VA disability is about up until a certain point. So until you get up to a higher level of disability, like 100% disabled, we're just talking about money. So a 10% disability gets a certain amount of money per month. A 20% gets more, 50% more, and so on. They sometimes come with other benefits as well, but for right now, we'll just focus on the part where you get money every month. So in order to do that, the VA has to refer to something called the 38 CFR. That's the Code of Federal Regulations. I'll put a link in the description. The Code of Federal Regulations, 38 CFR, has within it a list of many, many thousands of diagnostic codes, DCs they call them. And those diagnostic codes cover the gamut. So if you're claiming tinnitus, there's a code in there for tinnitus. If you're claiming PTSD, there's a code in there for mental health, and so on. And in those DCs, in those diagnostic codes, there's going to be a list of percentages. And next to that percentage, there's going to be a paragraph. And the paragraph is going to say what conditions have to be met in order for that percentage to be awarded. So, in review, we've got two parts to this. The first part is where you got service connected. Service connected is one thing, and that's the hardest part. The second part is rating. So, first, should you get money? Second, how much money do you get? It's important for you as a veteran, when you're filing your claim, to understand what the potential disability is and to see how your symptoms match up to those various disability levels. Now, for example, tinnitus is an easy one. It's 10%. If you're service-connected for tinnitus, you're going to get a rating of 10%. But other ratings aren't quite so easy. If you have PTSD, for example, and you get service-connected for PTSD, then there are at least, I believe, 4. I don't know. We'll poke something up here in the screen, or maybe it's over here. I don't know. We'll put something up online to kind of run through what the various percentages are for mental health, and we're just going to use that as an example. Each one has a list next to it of what's required to get that particular rating. You need to match your symptoms up with those requirements. And when you write your personal statement, which is part of your claim, that's what you're going to be talking about. When you go to a compensation and pension exam, which comes later on before your claim is adjudicated, if you're called to talk to an examiner, that's what you're going to talk about, because that's all that matters in terms of getting that rating. So first we have to get you service connected, then we have to get you a rating. It's all part of the same claim, 2 different parts. To get the service connection, you're going to need to get the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the nexus. In order to get the service to get the disability award, you're going to have to meet the standards, whatever they are, for that particular service-connected disability. Now, I'll put the links to all of these in the description. Hopefully there'll be enough to kind of get you started. We're going to put some more of these early on type videos out there so that veterans can look at them if they're just getting started, and hopefully it will help them along their way. I hope this has been helpful. I'm Bill. I'm the salty old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend. And as always, have a great day.